Welcome, beautiful beings, to yet another astrological energy update. And yeah, this time I want to share about the upcoming full moon in Taurus, which is also a partial lunar eclipse, which kind of speaks for itself. It sounds intense, and that's what it is, because lunar eclipses and solar eclipses, it's a little different. There are different energies, but lunar eclipses always are portals for a big letting go, but also new beginning in itself. And wow, this is basically with so much Scorpio energy right now in the collective field. Of course, we are shedding skins. We are in a big dying process, in a big collective dying process right now, with narratives that are crumbling away, that are slowly dying, and identities and whatever it is for you personally that wants to be transformed, that wants to finally have this allowance to die and to make space for something new. So yeah, in my last video, I shared a lot about Scorpio and about 3 stages of this transformative process that describes the Scorpio energy. And I want to repeat that a little bit because we are still in this last week of Scorpio season, with the sun still being there, with the sun as representative of consciousness that is highlighting. Scorpio principle is still being highlighted. There are still processes happening that where things are being brought to our conscience, where we are becoming aware of what maybe needs to go, what do we need to leave behind, what doesn't align with us anymore, what needs to be taken away, basically. And this is what Scorpio is. Scorpio takes away and Taurus gives. Scorpio takes away, Taurus gives. And with this full moon in Taurus, the other side, like they are polarities, Taurus and Scorpio. And whenever there's a full moon always highlights the opposite principle of what season we are in right now. When there's Scorpio season with the sun in Scorpio, there's always going to be a Taurus full moon, because it's the polarity. And we need to feel into the polarity as well. We need to see that it's actually an axis where symbiosis needs to happen between 2 seemingly opposites that are actually needing each other. And that is what Taurus is going to highlight. And I'm gonna step a little deeper into that later on. But first of all, just as a little reminder of what I've shared in my last video, the 3 stages of Scorpio. In the first stage, and I feel that a lot of human beings in the collective are still in that first stage where we struggle the most, where we have been stung by the scorpion with the poison, with the medicine, but we are resisting the medicine because we are fighting for our lives. And the reason why we think this is so existential, like really physically existential, it feels like dying, is because whatever it is that we need to let go of, we identify with. We identify with it so much because we don't, and then we don't know who we are without it. And that's why it's so scary to be in this transformative state where Scorpio is here and really wants to take this away from us. And Scorpio also clinches. It's like that I need to hold on to this. I just can't. The resistance is very big in that sign, and then manipulation happens, and we're gonna do whatever it takes so that we don't feel the loss, that we don't feel the abandonment wound, whatever wound it is, but we're gonna do everything in our power to not make it happen, to not come clean and share our secrets. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that happens when we are in resistance to letting go of the familiar, of that where we feel basically in control. And if Scorpio comes in and says, I'm sorry, but your soul wants to go through evolution at this time, it's really time for you to let go. And you also know deep inside of your soul, inside of your heart, that that's aligned for you, that that is actually true. But then there's all these stories within your being that are scared of this deepest truth, that are scared of what's going to happen when you let go of that familiar identity, of that relationship, of that job, of that belief system that you have around money, security, stability, whatever it is that you have learned and that reality you have lived in up until this point. So it's being shown to us right now what is familiar to us, but familiarity doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy for us. Familiarity can also be very toxic. We just feel drawn to things that are familiar to us because these things keep feeding the narratives that we have learned. But sometimes the lesson that is actually there is to step out of it, to let go of it, to say, you know what? Okay, I can play that game again. I can play that role again that I have been playing maybe since I was a child in a codependent relationship with my parents or whatever it is. I can keep playing that. But herstory keeps repeating itself. So what does it actually need? Sometimes it needs to let go and step out of it for the cycle to break. Yes, so Scorpio takes away. Scorpio feels threatening because it has to do with loss. It has to do with facing those things that we are most scared of feeling the emotions and feelings that we are most scared of, because it leads us to our core wounds. And the thing is, the more open and vulnerable we are meeting this process, we are meeting this initiation that is taking place through the medicine, the more we can actually grow and evolve from that lesson. The more closed we are and the more we clinch on what we don't want to let go of, the harder and the harder it gets and the more we suffer, basically. And maybe we can prolong the process, but it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back. It's gonna come back. So even if you step out of a relationship, or you have stayed in a relationship, whatever it is, if there's something that you've been running away from and it's a topic that keeps returning and keeps coming back, it's going to stay like that until you meet it nakedly with an open, from a space of surrender, which is then the second stage of Scorpio energy, the space of surrender, the space of the ego, the space of liberation, where we give ourselves to the process, where we actually get a little taste of freedom that is to be found in that peacefulness of death, where we notice the space that all of a sudden opens up when we let go of something, when we actually take that step and let go of something. And sometimes it actually feels as if you can breathe for the first time. That's the ego. And then there comes the phoenix. We are rising from the ashes. We are being born again. And we come back to the earth kingdoms and the sky kingdoms as the phoenix and spread the wisdom that we have received, gained by going through the underworld and all of these processes. So this is Scorpio, and this week is still very Scorpionic until the Sun enters Sagittarius on the 22nd, shortly after the full moon. And I always feel a bit like when the last week of a season happens, or the last days of a particular season happens, like it's going to be intensified. Like the messages are going to be intensified, as if universe itself is asking us, have you received the medicine that you need to receive from this principle, from this archetypal principle? Have you received it yet? And if not, yeah, then it might feel a little intense again. And yeah, and with the full moon, of course, there's also something highlighted for us in Scorpio, but especially in Taurus. And I want to talk about that now. Yes, maybe take a deep breath to take in what I've been sharing up until this point. So, why are Taurus and Scorpio polarities? So while Scorpio reflects dying, death, it reflects, Scorpio takes away and Taurus gives. Taurus is spring. Taurus is life. It's when there's Taurus season, which is in spring, we celebrate the Beltane festivities. Beltane are the ancient rites where we celebrate fertility, the fertility of the ground, of the soil, the fertility of our bodies. It's basically a little bit like ovulation. And on the opposite, we have the bleed, the shedding in Scorpio. And in both seasons, we get reminded of the other principle. So when there's Taurus season, there's always going to be a Scorpio full moon, a lunation that reminds us that, okay, you can celebrate fertility, you can celebrate the earth, the ground, you can intentionally plant your seeds, but be aware and remember that death is part of it, that there is no growth, no life without the dark, without looking at your shadows, without letting things go, to actually have the space that those seeds need to thrive, to grow, and to give us those fruits in September and in summer and in autumn. And now with Scorpio season, where we celebrated Samhain, the festival of our ancestors, where it becomes more still and also in nature. everything retreats, the energy retreats back underground. We celebrate this process of letting go and dying. And here comes this Friday, the Taurus Full Moon, which reminds us that there is fertility in dying. There is fertility in letting go. There is a spring. There's still spring within you, even though autumn is happening. A little bit like, even though as someone with feminine body, with a womb, someone who's bleeding with a womb experiences this, that, okay, I'm bleeding right now, but there's still eggs. There's still eggs within me. There's still fertility within me. There's like this, I'm fertile as fuck. And maybe sometimes I also feel horny as fuck, even though I'm bleeding. And within my body, death happens, literally happens. But I am, while this happens, still alive. Still, connected to, rooted in my body, grounded in my body. I feel that I'm still alive, and that is like it to our mind, it might be a little paradox, but it happens at the same time. So whatever you are going through right now, and however deeply you might feel lost in this process of letting go, and in this transformation, in this metamorphosis, and where you feel like you're maybe in a depression or having a really hard time, remember that even though you're going through all of this, there is a fertile ground that this can offer you. Because just as in nature, like the earth, the soil where we plant our seeds in, can only be fertile when there is this, it's a little hard in English right now, but for example, the leaves on the ground, they offer the ground, when they decomposed, a lot of nutrients, which makes the earth very, very rich for new plants to grow in spring. So we actually need that process. And or if you imagine a volcano erupting, Scorpio is deeply volcanic energy. It's so powerful, you can't even, it's that deepest rooted, rooted power, like a volcano that sits in all of us, that can erupt and destroy everything around it, everything, but it also creates at the same time. And the ashes from that volcano are probably the most fertile substance that can land on the ground, and like amazing plants can grow from this. So just keep that in mind, that whatever is happening within you right now, it serves you. It deeply, deeply serves you, just as the winter serves all of us, serves spring. Without winter, there can't be spring. Without spring, there can't be summer. Without summer, there can't be autumn. And all of this happens within our bodies. All of this happens within us human beings, because we are Earth. And this is what Taurus reminds us of. Okay. So Taurus brings in earth energy. Scorpio is watery. It's super intense emotions. It's like, oh my God, I'm about to drown in my emotions. It's so intense. I don't even know where to place them. Like, and here's where body work comes in. It's so important right now to move the energy, to express our emotions, to give them space, and our body serves us in that. Because if you don't create a safe container, which is earth energy, which is also Taurus, yeah, we need safe containers for those emotions that we can actually really express them and release them from our systems. And our body is a container, actually. And then, of course, there are those relationships that can serve us as containers, relationships in which we can feel safe, in which we can let go and really step into that space of surrender that it needs for the letting go to happen. And of course, there's connecting to nature. There is grounding, which is very important. This is also a reminder that the Taurus full moon illuminates. Exactly. Oh wow. Just as I say this, there's a lot of leaves falling to the ground outside. It's beautiful.